Okay, this is of course Nick back again one more time. Hi there, how the heck's it going? And this is the start of my question and answer series. And of course, just as with all the other series I do on this one particular channel, I'm doing it until such time as I get bored of it, or indeed I've got something else to do or something else I want to talk about, and so on and so forth. But either way, this is a question and answer series, and if you've got some questions that you want to give me, you can shove them in the information section of this video, or you can send me a private message and I'll endeavour to get back to you, via a video, because that's one of the things I do. I've had one individual who says that he's read something called the Quiet Ones, and there was something called the Philip experiment in it. Now this is something I'd read of many years ago, and that actually gave me a bit of inspiration and led me to do some experimentation myself, which of course led to some varieties of experience which kind of like corroborated some of the things which they were actually talking about. Now the Philip experiment is when a group of parapsychological researchers got together and they decided to do a seance, but they didn't actually have a particular already existent, shall we say, entity in mind. They created one, a geezer called Philip, and they created rather a lavish, rather in-depth story about what Philip's character was, what he'd done in the past, what his job was, his relationship life and all this kind of stuff. And then they proceeded to do the seance, and the answers which came through appeared to be in corroboration with the character, or connected to the character of Philip, which is the fictional spirit which they had created. Now, this is interesting. It's interesting on a number of different levels. Let's just start from the point of view of people who are heavily into the New Age, the occult and the spiritual worlds and all the rest of that, and they believe that they are doing something or other, a ritual, let's say, or a meditation or whatever, for the purposes of contacting a particular well-known entity. Let's say it's the demon Zozo, let's say it's Jesus, let's say it's, I don't know, Cthulhu or Odin, for instance. And they then have their personal experience, and they will say things like, well, Odin showed me this, or Odin told me this. And then you think to yourself, is he actually saying that he thinks that Odin, for instance, or Cthulhu, or Zozo, is an actual existent consciousness, a singular character, a singular personality outside of their own body? Is that what they're saying? Now, the Philip experiment seems to demonstrate that a variety of weird experience which seems to be connected to clairvoyant, clairsentient or mediumship type behavior can actually occur if you have completely made up the entity in question, which then leads us to think, well, do ghosts actually exist? Are there actually spirits out there? And so on and so forth. To which the answer is, in fact, well, hang on a second. You've had your strange experience of the communication from the spiritual being called Philip or Odin or Zozo or whatever, but all you've had is the experience. Do you have anything which 100% corroborates or proves that this was a consciousness, a specific consciousness with its own particular characteristic and personality which exists outside of your being? Can we actually say that for sure? Essentially, no, we can't. Okay, so all the people out there who are saying, well, Jesus told me this, or Odin told me that, or the devil made me do it, maybe they themselves have just built up in their own mind's eye a particular consciousness or a particular entity, and it's that thing inside their own mind which is speaking to them. So, was the experience of the Philip experiment faked? I don't think so. I think that the experience itself was 110% genuine, if you can of course have 110%, well, let's say it's 100% genuine then. But that's the experience which was 100% genuine. And therefore we have to assume that the experiences can be generated. But if you are looking for a hard and fast, concrete evidence that this was a spirit outside of your body, then you still haven't got there. A lot of people who are involved in paranormal research are looking out for concrete evidence that there is a consciousness outside of their body. But often this is to do with what they think this thing is. It seems more like people are looking out for a corroboration of a belief Okay, you've got an experience. The experience is real. The experience happens. Concrete, hard and fast. Yes, you've had the experience. Fine. But from that, they go on to belief. And they believe that, let's say, Philip, the spirit of Philip exists, or the spirit of Odin really exists. Or that there's millions of people out there believing in Odin, therefore there has been generated a consciousness which is separate to other people, which is Odin, or is somehow connected to the consciousness of all the people. These are beliefs. They're not facts. Okay? They're not facts. They are beliefs. You cannot prove the belief. You can prove the experience to yourself, but you can't prove more or less anything else. Do you see where I'm coming from here? Okay? This is why I do these videos, okay? Because people out there are just losing themselves in their beliefs and trying to chase their beliefs, rather than actually trying to chase an understanding of the experience, and from the experience try and work out what the experience could then be used for constructively, which is a completely different set of ideas, if you get my drift. Okay? So that's the idea of belief, and trying to maybe not get rid of it, but try and see belief in perspective. Okay, so you got to believe. Fine, fine. Okay, great, that's wonderful. But it's not a fact. Okay? You can't prove it conclusively. Alright? But then you can have other experiences which lead you to not even believe, but to assume that there is something factual going on, but you can't quite say what it is. And this is like the level that I've been at for a while. Okay, I've thrown away all the I want to believe in this kind of thing, more or less, okay? I may still have some beliefs, but beliefs are beliefs are beliefs are beliefs, and I've got to still be skeptical of my own beliefs, because a belief is a fucking belief. Can you see that? Alright? So, that's that side of things dealt with. But then you have the issue of sharing dreams with people, and that's when it gets totally weird. Because that shows another variety of experience can occur, but that other variety of experience suggests telepathic contact over distance. That suggests all kinds of other things. But again, it's a little bit more solid than the Ouija board experiments or the ideomotor experiments, but it's not quite so. It's still not quite that crystal clear and clarity and full of surety, because there's still more questions to be asked. All right, that's why, you know, the more of these like books you get and all the rest of that, the more really pissed off and frustrated you're going to get with all the people who write the books and all the people who do the blogs and all the rest of that, because essentially they're focusing in on a particular belief which they're encouraging, and someone else focuses on another belief that they're encouraging, someone else focuses on another belief that they're encouraging, and then they all want to get together and kick the merry hell out of each other, because they're all basically trying to sell different religions, basically, right? Rather than thinking that, okay, let's just put that aside, okay, we've got a handful of strange experiences. I myself want to encourage people to have those strange experiences, hence the Ouija board seances, hence everything else you see on this channel, okay? That's what it's all about, because then that leads to looking further into things. And then it's a question of what other questions can we ask without becoming a complete and utter weirdo, new age, religious fundamentalist, angel, fairy and crystal, weird fuck, okay? I'm trying to say this without swearing, and I'm really failing, you know. It's really terrible, really difficult for me, because, like, you know, it's all out there, you know. You type in your new age searches, you type in things such as pagan, witchcraft, spiritual healing and all that kind of stuff, and you find people who are just like, you know, letting people meander off down these weird, wonderful, spiritual, you know, headfuck tracks of thought, and moving away from any form of analysis about the experiences and what they could be used for. Okay. This is, and this is one of the reasons why I've been so heavily against the phrase "it works" all the time, because oh God. But anyway, going back to the Philip experiment, okay? What it can show us is that the experiences can happen. That's what it can show us, okay? What it can show us, like, of course on the basis that it actually happened and so on and so forth, is that when someone says or thinks that they're trying to communicate with a particular consciousness which they think objectively exists, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it has been created. When you think about dream telepathy, then you start to think that maybe there is the possibility of there being consciousness connecting between minds over distance, and then maybe we're all connected. So maybe if you take like little bits of the characters of lots of different people's minds, put them all together, maybe you'd end up with the spirit of Philip. Okay, that could like make it up. So maybe it's not an existent spirit outside of yourself, maybe it's made up out of the consciousness and thoughts and feelings of lots of people. Or maybe it isn't. And the bottom line is, we don't know. And I think that if we're going to be honest people, okay, we've got to be open to the idea that our beliefs, no matter what they are, might not actually be factually accurate. Okay, the belief might not be truth. The belief has to be a point of view, a paradigm, whatever, a belief. Maybe it'll do you some good to have that belief, maybe it won't. But it's not a fact. And this is what I have to carry on saying, because there's no, well, very few people, especially those who are like professionals in the New Age industries as I am, alright, as well as other things, okay, who are saying this stuff, okay? I mean, a lot of the authors just want people to carry on believing stuff, so they carry on buying the books. A lot of the professional psychics want people to carry on believing things, to carry on turning them into more and more customers. I'm actually damaging my revenue doing this. You know what I mean, all right? Giving people skepticism and objectivity and that sort of thing. But I believe I'm doing what's morally right. Okay? I believe I'm doing what's morally right. And if you don't like that, then I'm terribly sorry. In a very sort of like not terribly sorry way. Okay? Anyway, that's enough of me rambling for today. I hope I've given you something to think about and to help you to recognize that we got questions, but none of us have the answers. Especially, and I mean especially, all those people out there who say they've got the answers. You know who they are. Or maybe you don't yet.